Yeah.
I tried. I don't know. I don't know if well,
Woo! It was good.
I I really would like to learn more. Um, I'm sorry. I really would like to learn more in doing, ASL. I mean, this movie opened up a lot to me. It just underrepresented communities on film, and I love the story. What what was one of the challenges for you as a director and a writer to not only portray these characters, but to portray it in a way that is sensitive to how you should show something for them. For example, like you have to compose the pictures with sign. I'm guessing as opposed to like over the shoulder shots. So like, what were some of those challenges for you as a director?
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, first of all, I love that you just learned that sign, and I hope that everyone watches this movie and has the same feeling that you just had, which is, how I felt coming into this world. Like, I'm still studying sign, I'm still getting better at it, and it just is such a exciting way to express yourself, and so I hope more people are inspired to do that. But um, going in, I am an outsider. Like I am a hearing person, and I really took that seriously going into this project because whenever you're representing a community that has been historically marginalized and not just underrepresented on film, but misrepresented on film and represented in a harmful way, I think you go in feeling like I have to do this story justice and I have to tell this in the right way. And the only way I could do that was with deaf collaborators because I am always going to come from a hearing perspective. And so I made sure that, not only were we casting deaf actors in these roles, but that I had deaf people behind the camera as well with me who, from the moment that I was writing the script, who were reading drafts for me and giving me notes and going, you know what, that joke doesn't work, or, oh no, that works. And so it was really a process. And then having my ASL masters on set. So I had two women who worked on the movie, Alexandria Wales and Ann Tomasetti, who were, ASL consultants. And like you said, in terms of how we shot the movie and shooting an ASL scene is very different from shooting a dialogue scene because, you have to make sure that you're keeping people's hands in frame. Otherwise, you're cutting off the language. I mean, this shot here would never work for me if I were signing right now. And so, we did figure out you could shoot over the shoulder, my DP and I, if you had someone kind of sign higher and you captured the sign over their shoulder. So a lot of it was experimentation of rehearsal and watching the scene and really figuring out with my DP like where we were going to put the camera. And it's a very visually dynamic language. So it
Sure.
was cool to kind of see. I mean, talk about as a writer, like you say, like I saw my words come to life, but in this case, like I actually saw them come to life. And that's such a fun discovery for me as a creator. You write a joke and you hear it in your head and you sort of makes you laugh and then you watch it signed and it's like 10 times funnier than it was, when you wrote it in English. And so there were all of these discoveries along the way for me, but I certainly couldn't have come into the project. You have to know what you don't know, and you have to kind of be humble about trusting that other people are going to put your perspective in check. I think whenever you're telling a story that is not about your own community.
Yeah. How did you choose which beats to share to have the audience share in the experience of the deaf and to not hear? And I know in one, and I'm not sure because I watching a screener or not, but I know in one scene when they was at the bar,
Mhm.
like it was like no subtitles, but it's like was that like is that in the picture for us to just like we should be able to figure out this conversation? Like how did you choose those beats? I was real impressed
I
by that.
mean, the scene in the bar was really interesting because that was a scene where I had, I was really interested in having the camera reflect what that feels like to be the only deaf person at a table full of hearing people that don't sign and are having like a rapid fire conversation. And so, I'd reached out to Daniel and to Anne and just said like, hey, like, can you just tell me about that experience? Like, what is it like when you're at Thanksgiving dinner with your hearing family and you're trying to follow that conversation? And Anne actually wrote me like this beautiful essay that was just about like how exhausting it is. And, you look there and you catch, like, you read someone's lips and you get a word, a sentence, but then someone laughs at a joke and you look over there, but then you miss the joke. And it's just like exhausting. And you're sort of a detective who's trying to follow what's happening, and hearing people are clueless a lot of the time. So, someone's picking up their beer and drinking and covering their mouth and you don't get what they're saying. And so that thing that she wrote me was really essential in covering that scene, because I gave it to my DP. She read it. She operated camera during that scene and was really figuring out, like, where the camera should be looking and how we could put the audience in that experience that Leo is having in that moment. So a lot of the moments where I move people into the deaf experience, they're happening later in the movie, because I wanted people to be invested in the characters first and feel like they love this family and these people, and then you get to experience what it's like, and so those moments were key for me, and I was careful with where I chose to do them because I didn't want to overuse it, but I also felt like it was important to have them.
Well, I really appreciate your time. I loved the characters in this film. I loved the story. I loved the representation of the actors, and I'm hoping to get better. I mean, I spent this amount of time in my life not having the opportunity to interact with any of the deaf community. And it's an unfortunate. And I'm curious, and I would love to be more invested in that community and to be a part of it. You know.
Well, now you can sign your name, so it's a start.
Thank you.